1, 2, 3.
Skibbity bop ba boo bop ba dee bop ba. The Come Up TV. Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Happy Halloween. Start with that. Explain
Happy
why
Halloween.
we're dressed this way.
Hi, everybody. It's Halloween. We dress up for Halloween. Do we have to explain what Halloween is to anybody else?
Do other cultures don't know about Halloween, maybe?
We dress up and we get sick.
I don't normally dress up, but we dressed up this time.
What are you dressed up as?
A guy in an orange suit
That's not correct.
with a mustache.
That's not correct.
Star Wars guy.
A Star Wars guy, but what kind? There's nerds out there that are going to be
He said
pissed.
X-Fighter, but I'm
An
not
X-
really... I've never
an
seen the
X-Wing?
movie.
Pilot.
An X-Wing pilot.
yeah.
An X-Wing pilot.
what
I
are you,
am El Toro Zorro. I brought this as El Toro, and I'm Zorro, obviously. So you fucking get it.
In the helmet with
You
it.
fucking see it. And but it's not about us today.
It's not about us. Can
And
you please
it's-
put the rail to the side? It's poking me in the fucking
I
arm.
want to introduce our guest first.
Okay, yeah, do that.
First off, we have Mr. Glenn P.P. Milligan with us. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
He is here to help us interview a fucking legend, Ralph Sinisi. What is up?
Whoop, whoop. This is a big one for me.
Ralph, are you disturbed by our costumes? We were a little bit worried if this was going to freak you out.
You guys? I don't know if you could freak me out. I don't know. I know what to expect. That's why I love being here with both you guys, because some lunatics for sure. That's what BMX is all about. So
Have you ever been to El
Lunatic.
Toro? The real El Toro.
I've passed it and not gone near it. That's all I'll say.
You gotta put this away. It's kind of awkward having this fucking thing dangling over my head at all
Fucking
times.
El Toro, dude. Chill out.
Okay.
What you said it. There, it's
Puts
fine
it
right
down.
there,
Yeah,
right?
that's fine. As long as you don't hit it, because it's gonna vibrate through the fucking
not.
table.
Everything's
yeah.
fine.
Also, I'm gonna take the stupid helmet off. It's getting really hot in here. All right, Ralph Sinisi though, he's on the show, and Glenn PP's here too. This might be our most unprofessional entrance into a podcast ever.
That's okay, but this is going to be the most popular one because everybody wants to know what is up with the animal. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, I want to talk about my early influence with Animal because Day Job was my first real BMX video, and I was thinking about it today. I was looking for Day Job before I found it because I was so obsessed with street riding, and that was the first video that I ever like really. It was not all street riding, but it focused on that, and it was the kind of street riding that I was seeing happen around my town with all the people I hung out with and everything. And Ralph had one of the best parts in that video, so he was one of my earliest introductory points to BMX. So it's just hats off based on that alone.
Thank you. No, I mean, hearing that now, this many years later, is it really says a lot. And the crew that we were rolling with at the time was this whole new generation. And, I was the older guy then with these guys, but it was the progression back then. It was something new every day that these guys were doing, and I was just happy to be out with these guys all the time because they pushed me to keep going even more, because it was at a time where a lot of people, my age by the mid-'90s were not riding anymore. So, these guys would get me out, and, we'd be out riding every night all the time.
So you were already kind of viewed as the OG in terms of like to dudes like Scerbo or George D or Will Taub, and you were already a sort of a generation before them in a sense?
Yeah, well, I had 5 years on them.
Right,
so
okay.
Now, it's relative that much more, but back then 5 years was, these were the young guys that were doing, the tricks that all the pros were doing when I was younger, and they were doing them all over the place, and it was like nothing for them,
Right.
and they just did them for fun all over the place, and then they were taking them on different obstacles too, so... and we were lucky to be in such a great place with so much street to ride, because everything is paved, and it was endless. We'd just be on an endless search, and always crazy stories of what happened each day, because everybody was
Going hard
every day.
Do you remember how you like ran into those dudes and like how you sort of realized you were gonna have a part in this video that like because the mass Bob was the filmer and you ended up editing. Oh, we're going back even further.
Yeah, because I want to know how did you get started riding BMX?
True. Just a kid in Clifton, right?
Yeah. I had a Stingray style bike, and all the kids in town were getting the Mongoose California, that they were coming in, and BMX was super big in like 83, 84. And we had, some local trails that were a few blocks from my house. And we had hip banks at the school and benches. And it was, do whatever, building ramps out of doors or whatever. And we had our own little ecosystem of riding within a few blocks. And I got my first BMX, Hutch Pro Raider, 84, and that's really when I got on it. I got that. I was like, I got to take the kickstand off. I got to take the chain guard off. Front brake, still keeping the back brake on back then. But and then we had, we hit the local trails, this and that, and then I got really serious into it, and then I got a full-out freestyle bike in 86, Trickstar, and then it was, then I was serious about it. Then I was wearing the biking clothes, wearing, the gloves, flat.
What kind of brands were you hyped on at the time? Like what kind of shirts might you be wearing in terms of BMX brands?
Vision Streetwear.
Oh, yeah. No, I had, the Vision pants.
Same. Glenn had every pair, too.
Really, back then, it was still like a new world, and I was repping,
everything.
There was pros out that were so sick on all these teams,
Right.
GT, Harrow, Hutch was something that I was that much more hyped at the time with these guys. Dominguez and Itzen were super sick riders, and but then I had everything, Harrows with Blyther, Wilkerson, and obviously Hoffman's influence was off the hook. And then I went to, that was something that was set it on another level, was the Swatch Impact Tour that they did.
Yeah.
And that brought the pros to all the neighborhoods, because I had seen some other shows at the local bike shops that were super sick, quarter pipe, this and that, but to get to see these guys on a full vert ramp.
Yeah, we just had Blyther on 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about about his experiences with the Swatch Tour. What an awesome aspect about having both of you guys on the show that a lot of younger riders can't. It seems so foreign. You think even Adam is. The era that you're talking about, late 80s, early 90s, the term street riding wasn't even a thing in BMX. It wasn't even named anything. What was it like for both of you to watch the transformation go from, flatland contest, quarter pipe contest to this new thing of street riding? Because that's, like I said, now I think we take it for granted. Back then it wasn't, bash guards were getting put on bikes, and then they started this. What was that like for you?
You first. Early memories of street. This is what I'm interested in, too.
I think it was something where it was just you rode street no matter what because you just rode. And I think that's how everybody starts out either way, even jumping off sidewalk cuts or whatever. And then, it was because things were so separated with competition, with flatland, ramp, or racing, that street wasn't even anything because of that, so it wasn't classified because it wasn't one of these main genres. But I think it was something though that was, I guess in the late 80s it started getting classified when they started making the bash guards on bikes, and everybody got the core bash guards, and that was sick because those
What year did the Feeble enter your repertoire of tricks? Feeble on a flat ledge or anything. I have a hard time with the date on that
70,
one.
No. I still had old school flatland pegs, like Skyway pegs, and then some of these new guys that were more, this new crew that I rolled up with was where I actually ended up meeting all these guys, really, the Bowl, which had a lot of footage and Don't Quit Your Day Job and
right,
all that.
Okay.
It was in my town, but it was on the edge of town. So, and it was right by the Passaic River. So that was like the intersector that separated the towns over there. And that was, they would be coming over the train bridge or, you know, the other car bridge, but that was where people met up. And that's when the crew that I met there first were, you know, not just the local neighborhood kids who, even though they were super dope, but this was like, all those people even had stopped by now, and this is like 89, 90, you know, because BMX was big till like 88, and then it was 89, 90, and then there was, there might have been 1-2 people from my town still riding then, so I got with these other guys who were actually older than me then. They were like 16, 17, and they were serious with it, and they would throw contests, and
so they kept it alive during the supposed death. But how did that affect you when BMX supposedly died in the 90s or whatever? Did that change like the style of riding? Did that change your mentality on riding? Did that discourage you at all?
No, I mean, at the time it was just, you're going to go ride with whoever. We rode with skaters all the time. You know, we're sessioning the same kind of stuff either way. But I think, you know, it was a progression, too, because there was a ton of stuff, and then, you know, Hoffman doing the handrail in the video, that was like, you could do that, you know, and then all of a sudden a lot of other people. But these guys always had their own scenes going on either way, and it was still there. It just wasn't so, you know, you still have a good amount of people to ride with when you knew everybody that rode, but it wasn't, you go to a fair and there's hundreds of people watching, you know, full-blown shows with, you know, fluorescent uniforms and this and that. No, you know.
He's like, no offense.
No offense to X-Wing fighters.
Oh, no, but just to add something on what Ralph's saying is one thing that's real interesting is because everyone always says the death of freestyle back then, but it was only the death of business in freestyle.
Right,
because if you really think about it, it was the biggest growth time ever in BMX. There were no good videos prior to that. All the videos were coming out were like corporate weird videos that were produced by like weird production companies that like bigger companies paid for. So they weren't, and they were, or like a how-to video, which was pretty cool. Like the first video I've had was like, you remember this one? You remember this? The BMX Freestyle 101. Tricks.
101 freestyle tricks. Yeah, part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, it was like hosted by Magoo, one of them or something. Yeah, and like some of it was like super weird, like super weird tricks. Some of them weren't even real tricks. They just made up shit in the video. But like after that, everything went underground, so to speak. And it was like all these videos came out, like the Dork and York videos, and then all the Parrick and people like that just started making things. Yeah. And that was when BMX got good. And same thing, Dirt Brothers, and that was the Hoffman rail for the first time being seen. All the Eddie Roman videos after he had lost like corporate sponsorship, he became a better rider. You know what I mean? And like street was always there. I agree with Ralph too. It's like one thing I remember: any contest you ever went to, there was always flatland and ramp, if there was ramp, depending on where it was. But the best part of every contest was always afterwards when everyone would ride away and ride all night, and that's what happened. New York, that always happened. Long Island, Jersey, the NJL contest, or it was New Jersey Freestyle League, NJFL. So like there was. Like even right now, it's kind of weird. Like people talk about the industry now, and they're like, "Oh, it's dying, it's dying." It's like, no, companies aren't making money, but BMX is as big as it's ever been.
Right,
I mean,
that is what it is.
I look around. There's so many fucking kids. It's unbelievable, actually. You know what I mean? There's so much opportunity there, and the sport's progressing more than it ever has.
Right.
Riding wise, it's like fucking crazy, you know. But
so you think that like the death of BMX helped BMX to find itself in a way where all of a sudden these people had to show their own representation? Like a video like Day Job it's so hardcore, like straight from the streets, absolutely no influence from corporations or anything like that. And 10 years before that was kind of unheard of to have a DVD or a full-length video like that.
Right. And it shows because I think anyone can watch a video like that now and you still enjoy it, even though the tricks obviously progression-wise aren't there. But like you'll watch it and you can actually see how fun it is, and you can see its friends.
Right.
Whereas like, you know, fast forward 7 or 8 years later, then you have companies who just really paid for that image, and you can see when they do, and it never looks like the crew is cool together. Road trips look kind of a little stupid. They try a little hard. They do kind of like the prerequisites in the van, like let me fuck with this guy because I saw it in a video 5 years ago, right? You know, that type of thing, or like the corny shit that happens in between parts that were like, those are the things I think defined everyone at this table, everyone standing over there. Like our personalities are defined by the music we heard in videos, by the shit that was in between videos, just all the personality stuff. Yeah. Actually, you've always been the same though. Come to think of it, because I used to video you back in the day. You were always exactly the same.
Shit don't change.
Yeah, it's fucking good. That's actually great.
Shit don't change. Yeah. Adam and I was in fucking arguments. I'll beat him in any contest if I can do 9 million more tricks.
I would love to play you in a game of bike.
Kill him.
I just want to say that when Catfish rolled to do the not boomerang air, the decade air, bugging
Dude,
the first time I ever seen that, and it was sick when you guys would roll to these contests from Ohio to what Malali was the only spot.
Shout
that
out
was
to
a
Lou,
BMX hub.
everybody UND, everybody used to throw those Malali, Casio,
Lou Perez, shout out
dudes.
Casio.
They changed BMX for us. Holy shit!
They're still over there holding it down on the daily and on the reg either way. And
you ever tried Decade?
He can do decades.
See, the reason why I asked, the reason why I asked is
I've seen you ride flatland.
The reason why is because Byron Anderson. One time I asked him. I said, "Hey, you ever get to ride with Ralph back in the day?" And he goes, "Oh yeah," but he goes, "It's funny you talk about Ralph like he's the street god, because I remember him just trying Decades on the mini ramp all the time." And I was like, "Really? That's a strange trick." And he swore.
Yeah, I used to do decade drop-ins on mini ramps. Nah, hell no. I wish this was really real, but
Might be imagined. You're saying? He was saying you were trying him. He wasn't saying you were pulling
What's the best? What's the best flatland trick you've ever pulled?
As soon as scuffing came out, I quit. I couldn't scuff. I could hop around a little bit, maybe take a hand off doing something.
Can you do a surfer? Can you do a surfer?
Like 3 feet.
That's all that matters. Adam can't do that. That
Adam has never tried that. Hey, were you naturally drawn to street riding even like early on, or was it something where later on you like felt yourself consciously like falling in love with like that lifestyle that we all know, because a lot of people consider you like really the person who helped define what that style of riding was at a certain point?
No, I don't even know how to say this, but I think it was just you want to do tricks on anything you can. Not doing tricks, really, but just riding on anything you can. And, I mean, I remember from, my first bad fall was just setting a step up off of 2 steps and a chair and trying to jump it, but I didn't realize how much you had to tuck and drop the back wheel, and I just caught the back wheel and got killed. And that was... everybody always jumped gaps. You jump skateboards. We set up how many skateboards can you jump. It was always trying to bunny hop over anything you can on the street. Anyway, I mean, I think it was always there, and that was, we had metal benches, and back then we'd do, like foot plants on them, and then the pegs. So that was with the grinding, though. I remember
stalls first, really.
These
right?
guys,
did you learn to stall before you grinded?
Actually. Yeah. I don't even remember, but I remember these guys. There was really flying with the core bash guards and grinding on the bash guards before even really on the pegs, and then the bully pegs came out, and that was like not
plastics, yeah.
And it was just not the regular pegs were stripping all over the place and this and that. I remember putting GTs on, the hollow bolt ones, and just like cranking them like crazy, but you still be getting the wheel loose all the time. And then, but those pegs would last like 2 grinds than the bully pegs, because it was just plastic, no metal or anything. And but that was like. I think they were meant for grinding.
No, they were meant for flatland more, but just to explain to everyone watching, pegs back then threaded on. There was no, it wasn't a hole and you put a nut in.
It
was the nut.
I didn't even realize that.
So yeah, if you grind it on the left side, your pegs came loose every time you pretty much rode. So it was kind of a fucking disaster, really. One thing I want to say about Ralph and Street, like, okay, so back when it was just contests and there was the B3 contest, which was before the X Games, which became the X Games, which was a Hoffman series. The B3 came to New York City and it was in uptown, Riverside Park, and Ralph entered, and a lot of people were psyched because it was like he was like one of the only people locally, other than Eddie Rios, that could actually have a chance at like placing or doing well. Okay. And Ralph rode ramps, but halfway through his run, something he was trying wasn't going good, so he decided to 180 one of the signs that were running around that like bordered the course. And back then there was no digital signs, so it was like these things that used to like rotate through. It'd be like Gillette, join the Navy, and then Hoffman Bikes, and then he fucking smashed it. And I remember overhearing someone say those things are like 6,000 a piece or something crazy like that. But so like, just so it's clearly stated, he was always Street. Don't listen to him. Street from day one, right there.
But so, do you remember when you met Ralph, and what was your impression of him at the time?
Oh my God! All right, so everyone's had this happen. You feel good about yourself. You might have pulled a trick that day, and you feel pretty good, and you're like, oh fuck, I'm getting good. This motherfucker comes rolling up to, it was Union Square Park, and just bunny hops on a picnic bench, and I maybe have just jumped on the side and done like a 180 off,
the halfway
and I was
point,
all fucking pumped. And this guy could bunny hop so high, and I was like, oh shit. And I want to say you tried to do something, maybe manual or something. Maybe you had front brakes. I don't know, but it was something. I was like,
this was at a street jam, maybe.
It was just mad people. It was just one of those days where like 100 people showed up. But
at
like,
Union Square, just a random day.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, it was just crazy. I was like, fuck, and then kind of knew him ever since then. Oh, I actually met Tiseo first from the crew, but then you later. But that was around the same time.
Yeah, take us back in time. How did you meet Tiseo? Like how did that friendship begin? Because you guys were super tight since kids, right?
So he rode, it was same thing with the bowl.
Okay.
So I had met him a couple of times at the bowl when we were maybe 15. And maybe a year or two went by, and I met him right when I met Lugo, Angel Lugo, and they were real tight. And I ran into Lugo somewhere at like a Newburgh thing or some event they had with the one where little man went through the ceiling or something,
Is that the one where Freddie punched Wilkerson? The Bronx kids beat up Wilkerson.
No comment. Ralph's getting political, yeah.
It was a Wilkerson contest, and he got punched at his own contest.
Oh, jeez.
He's had bad luck in the New York area.
Right. No comment. Ralph's very political today.
Yeah. So I met Lugo. I re-met Lugo. Not get back with it. And Lugo's like, "Yo, we got to get together again. Go riding. I've been riding with Tiseo all the time. You're not even gonna believe the stuff he's doing."
Right.
And this is when we were 17.
Okay.
And he was good. I remember him when I didn't really know him. We just rode a couple times at the bowl with jumping, with doing, no-footed crazy variations and everything. And then literally a day or two after we got back from the contest, I'm like, Lugo, let's do this. And I rode and met him and Tiseo at the high school where Tiseo always rode. It was like his crazy spot where he's got all this footage in all the videos.
Do you remember any clips so we can place what school this was?
Every line, it's a
bunch of flat edges in a row,
Yeah.
and he does, I think, like a half bar out of a feeble on one of them at some point in the line.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
And he keeps the runs going with all of them, and half bar out of this, kick flip out of that,
Right.
manual from this to that. Like, that was all stuff that people are even,
the style that's prevalent today, yeah.
That was so progressive at the time, and he was so nonstop with just trick, and he just kept going and killed everything anywhere we'd go. And after we rode together the first time, I think we really rode together for the next 3-4 years, every other day, every day, as much as possible with the local crew, with these guys and Lugo still, and that totally pushed me to push my riding, because I didn't even know anybody in the local area that was riding like this, on his level. And this was at a time when this was like a whole nother generation after that first street generation stopped riding. This was like 92 and 93.
Right.
Which was after these, everybody in the other years really, the Dirt Brothers bikes, all these guys bought TAs, not TAs.
Skyway TAs.
TAs, and we're all getting them out with that. And then, when Dirt Bike came out and the Moeller first one, those frames, everybody jumped on those. And then when I got it with Tiseo, we were all riding STAs.
That was right when they came out.
Yeah, 93, 94. I had one, the crazy bike, the heavy as something else.
Heavy as fuck?
Yeah, and that was a little in between.
Wait, you won't curse? Hold on. You won't curse right now?
What is that?
I don't even want.
That was professional. He's a businessman.
I didn't ride the frame that long. That's why I didn't want to get into it, because it was like super overbuilt. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to get into a whole thing. Oh shit, you rode a heavy as So, but it was a great frame though. It was super strong. But then the STA was more like a racing geometry with it, which the other bikes had too. But then they had these crazy dropouts too with that. So that was a good bike for street. That was a big problem with street, was you were bending dropouts, bending axles. That was like
the problem.
Yeah, you'd be dealing with it all the time.
So you did Day Job, and then the next video part, or we'd be glossing over Nowhere Fast, but I guess that's what we should talk about next. Is Nowhere Fast. How the fuck did you get? Because that was like Ralph in California.
Well, that's something completely insane that Parrick even put me in that video. I don't even know what he was thinking.
Because you're the only East Coast dude in it, really, right? Really stood out a lot.
He made a lot of money selling the slam footage off of you, so I think he did a good thing.
Shout out to Parrick. They still playing that, so.
What, you're talking about the hematoma fall from Nowhere Fast, right?
Yeah.
So how does this happen? How the hell does the kid from Jersey, the local hometown hero, how does he end up filming for the biggest video out in Southern California?
Parrick. I was out here with Byron, and Byron, we got out with, I forget where we met Parrick originally, but, I was like the hugest fan of him, so I attacked him. Oh, shit, Dave Parrick, blah, blah, blah. And then we ended up going riding, and I did a couple things, and he's like, you want to come out riding again? And then this is when I was doing some trips to California.
Yeah, what were you doing? Just going out to California to ride street because it was the fucking Holy Land, even at the time?
Yeah, in the winter. I probably came out here 5-6 times before I even started the company, I guess. And then after that, maybe once, twice. When I came with Butcher that time, was sick with it.
And were you sponsored, making trips out to here? Were you getting free stuff? Were you getting paid at all ever?
So this even before Nowhere Fast, Glenn was my first sponsor.
Hell yes.
What was that? He would give you lasagna and beers or something?
L&B's.
Base was the first sponsor, right?
Base.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, and that was right after I met up with Glenn, because when I met Glenn, he was the dude who was, pushing it on that street new style too.
Well, he was filming all the dope dudes?
We were like... Yeah, so he was on it with everything to begin with, from documenting everything, but also killing it and entering everything in every contest. I seen him at Mullali's. And
so Glenn was a badass rider in your opinion at this time too.
Oh,
he's just being nice.
This might be hard. I don't know.
I was a strictly third novice all the time.
Glenn has moves. Put a Glenn clip in right here. Glenn has moves.
The sessions that would go down at that time, because then after we met, I started coming into the city. We were both riding in the city before that, but then when we met up, we would meet up in the city, and then going to base too and riding around in that area was amazing. I always loved by the Navy Yards. There's just so much great spots over there, and shout out to Enos too with
Enos. Just talked to him yesterday.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I'm based till the end with it with either way. And
were you and Glenn sort of like a filming / rider duo at the time? Was he like the first time you really started clocking footage?
Really at all?
Oh, okay.
Because Jeff Z was like strictly on lock with this whole crew.
So he was the filmer at the time.
Well,
He'd have been mad if I
can't tell you how hyped I was when Glenn asked me if I wanted to ride. I think I rolled over there and you and Enos talked to me at the same time or something.
Yeah, we asked you to come through.
But I can't tell you. I mean, that was like, that was something that you saw. Originally, everybody in the area.
Come on, it was well deserved. Like Ralph was a legend in the city, dude. Like
on the racing heads and everything. We're always any dirt jumper people had the base shirts and everything, and I was always like, that's cool, And it wasn't something. It was a local thing, Right. So that was something, and the team that was put together when Neighborhood Superheroes came out was,
that was like pre-Animal.
Yeah.
Realistically, yeah. Maybe a little bit more broad because it had some of the racer dudes, a little bit park type guys.
I think though the thing is, there's a bunch of us from over there, like we all saw it the same way. It wasn't even like. Looking back at it, it's so easy to say, oh, yeah, street, this and that. But that was like, that's what we did. Like, everyone just went in the city and rode around. Like, this guy came out to contest in Malali, but really he came to ride the city. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, because the contest was awesome, but like riding around the city was like.
That was BMX.
It was such a. It was something. It was like, it's so hard to explain even to this day. But the kids there still know, like.
So here's a question for you guys.
Point that right,
to a kid in Ohio or a kid in fucking Wrocław, Poland, there was a point where you had to realize that, the rest of the world looks at New York City as a catalyst. This is where street riding is.
Did it seem like a big deal at the time?
I think I saw it everywhere. I saw it everywhere because there were people all over that were progressing similarly on a lot of different levels. But then I guess I just saw that it got to a point where we were pretty much focused completely on it, and we wouldn't even go to a skate park unless it was cold, and you couldn't ride. I mean, snow on the ground, literally, not even cold, that you couldn't ride because that was the main focus. Whatever it was, put on as many layers and go out until there is snow and ice, and then even sometimes, But I think, I don't know. I think maybe at some point we were, it was definitely the most focused, but I mean, there was people all over that were on a similar level, even overseas in the UK, and there's always been crazy riding going on, and even street riding from the 80s and even before that was some insane stuff with people all over the place.
Yeah, and I think one of the most incredible things, and like a perfect example. So there's no internet, right? And like magazines came out. Like if a contest was in the magazine, it would come out 3 to 4 months after the whole thing.
And was it not much East Coast shit anyway?
No, not at all. I mean, freestyle and BMX and all that started out here, plain and simple in California. Yeah. So like it really, in a lot of ways, shouldn't have even worked in like a winter-bearing state, right?
Exactly.
Like when you really think about it. But the fact now that like I do agree that now the East Coast, New York, especially Edwin, like that changed the whole entire scope of BMX and Animal, especially. It's like it's not just a company; it literally was like a game changer for everything because it focused something that was already happening and made everyone kind of see it. But I think something also to think about was like in New York and in New Jersey and in these areas. The fact that someone came from Ohio, like these are places we knew nothing about, and it's like a whole squad came from. We're like, how the fuck did you even hear about this? And we didn't know. You know what I mean?
People
like,
in New York or in the tri-state, it's like the rest of the world doesn't really exist to you in a lot of ways.
It's like Christopher Columbus, flat world. You might fly off the edge. But people were coming from France, people were coming from England. Like it was fucking crazy, and that's always been like one of the awesome things about BMX. But it also shows how like it never really dies. There's no. I mean. Kids, consider that for a second. No internet, no cell phones, and here you are. People are finding out when this contest is going to happen on August 24th in this shithole in the Bronx. You know what I mean? Like, it was bad neighborhood, not the park, that is. There's just the area.
Yeah.
And they would come out, and it would be like pretty fucking scary place to go to in certain ways. But
first time I ever saw somebody smoking weed in public.
Well, you're a white kid from Ohio. It's like you never seen. You go to an area in the Bronx where it's like the vast majority is black and Hispanic. Even that would be weird to you.
I had a tattoo. I had one tattoo. Back then, nobody had tattoos.
That was a big deal. I filmed you about it. I remember asking him about it. That was crazy.
I had this fucking decade on my arm, and I actually got in 20-inch BMX magazine.
Yeah, I have a copy of that.
That had to be 94, 5.
Yeah. It's awesome.
But so okay, should we kind of skim past the Los Angeles area of like you coming to SoCal and go straight into starting Animal, or do we want to talk about like you being out there filming with Perrick?
Let me grab one more drink real quick. Sorry.
Just bring it over.
Okay. So you can tell the hematoma story. Tell the hematoma story.
Yeah, I want to say that, and then just with FBM too. You know?
Right, FBM, that's a big part of it too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Because that was your crew back in the day. Pre-Animal, that was Ralph's brand. And even now, because you probably don't ride FBM anymore, but you did for fucking forever.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still ride a FBM anytime.
Right.
I'm still down. We did the street jam with him even last year up in Binghamton.
Okay.
Sick.
How'd you meet those guys? Or was that the first person to give you a free bike, or?
Yeah, Tag.
So Tag before Crandall was your connection.
Our screen printer now, Rob Kucharik, a super awesome old school dude. I met him at a skateboard contest in Newburgh, probably around the same time period, because that's when we were going up there a bunch, 92, 93, something like that. Because I remember cruising in the Nova, I only had that like 93, 94. So he said, I'm from Binghamton originally, and I'm friends with Mike Tagg, FBM, Steve Crandall, and back then it was like they were, FBM was super, not that they're, not underground still, but they were super, it was like the anti,
establishment.
They came up after S&M and Standard, so it was like Standard was like the main company, and then FBM was like what Standard was before that.
But did everybody know about FBM at the time already? It was already like a thing.
Yeah, like on the, not like, not the way companies were a thing before that, and back then they only made even a couple things. It was mostly even T-shirts, really, and then they had, a couple parts to start out with. But so Kuchar came back to meet me with Tag like a couple weeks later, and Tag was killing it, in everything, doing the kind of stuff that was. It's crazy because even back then, you would be at a skate park, but you'd really be doing what was even, like wall rides. Like you didn't really like that was something that you didn't.
Because if you weren't doing airs,
grinding down one of the wedges, like one of the
skate park riding at the time was like you jumped the box and you did airs, and then anything else that was used in the park in a different way was seen in a different light as a form of street riding or relative to it, right?
Yeah, well, it was something that mimicked more of what you want to ride on the street that was over there, but. You knew of a couple of wall rides in your town that you would ride. So to ride anything that put you on the wall to get some kind of, vertical wall ride, was something that not many people were even doing, though, too, because it was something new at the time. Not really. People were doing them for a long time, but not a lot of people, know. And he was blasting the same kind of stuff like I was into, but he would just do it way crazier and do, way other things that I could never imagine with jumping and everything. So we met up there and had a great session. And then I saw him enter a jump box contest in pro. And this was when he was like, 18, probably, something like that. And he got, nobody ever even really... people knew about him in the underground from underground zines and FBM, but to go to one of these contests where there were still all these big pros and just have him go in there and kill it. And he got, I still remember because I was going crazy out there watching this and seeing all these people at Shimersville.
Hell yeah.
He got third place behind McCoy and the Beast and Miron.
Holy shit, that was a Hoffman contest.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I was there. Fuck yeah.
And it was insane. You know, it was like mind blowing the stuff that was going on, and these guys obviously, you know, and he was bringing these new tricks too. That, you know, obviously these guys were doing other crazy new tricks, but he was on the, you know, crazy seat grabs and nothings that like was some really progressive jumping at the time. You know, that's. Still amazing me, you know, and and then after that, we just, hey, let's go ride here. And he would come down to the city a lot. He would ride in New York City a lot, and then one day he's like, you know, you should ride for FBM, and I think it was after so I traveled to one of their events to go meet up with them, and then I met Crandall, and I think it was like a simultaneous thing with that. They were like, yo, you're, you know, doing gap to grinds at the this, that, like, you know, that's what, you know, we're hyped on you. And I was like, yeah, like, that's crazy too, because it was like a whole new thing, you know. It was like a whole new world of riding that they were in, you know, outside of what we had going. And then I go up there to the crazy trails with the Baker's Acres, and, you know, and then we ended up going, you know, crazy trips to Youngstown to meet up with you, and
hung out in Youngstown.
all these lunatics.
But then it was such a different vibe too, because like to guys that rode, FBM was like, these are the party dudes. These are the dudes that are like, and they're real. Like everybody, you could relate to them because their videos are like just dudes getting buck wild and killing it. I thought you were a really good fit for that. So I'm trying to think of the first FBM video I saw you in. Albert Street?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Street, yeah.
He was definitely in there a bunch. And that, as I remember, that was like right around when I started riding, so that was when I became curious. And I was like, oh, that's the guy from Day Job. Because, you know, when you're really young, you start to make these connections. You actually, because I remember like George D was my favorite rider when it wasn't even really in my head to like know your favorite rider's name. To me, it was like that black dude with a yellow bike and Day Job, like he's the shit. Like, and I didn't even bother to find out his fucking name at the time, which is kind of strange to me in retrospect.
So this is the part in the interview where all of our viewers have been waiting for the last 45 minutes. How did you start Animal?
Wow, all right, here we go, yeah.
Can I get a beer?
Beers on deck?
Damn it, I was like hanging on his word, and Adam had to ruin my fucking moment.
I almost remembered how I started it, now I forgot.
He hit me in the head with a 12-pack.
Don't make me take El Toro out.
Chris Long's here. Speaking of weed.
Shout out to Chris Long.
Jesus.
What's up? Is this the first instance we've had of a local drug dealer throwing peas on the table?
Special delivery.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what either of these things are. I don't even know what that is. Adam, you want to shout out? Shout out.
Looks illegal.
You need anything for the plane?
Shout out the dispensary.
All right, maybe we should start over here.
Listen. Skibbity bop a doop bop a doop.
Shout out to Chris Long.
Chris Long just came and showed. Okay,
Chris Long just came and made a whole ruckus. But okay, this is the point where we're trying to get.
Made it rain on the table.
It just rained real quick. Yeah.
Biggest BMX brand ever, in my opinion. We're about to.
The most important for me on a personal level, 100%. Right.
For BMX, we're about to hear this. How did you start Animal?
Thank you for even saying that. With all, you know, the amazing stuff in BMX, that's pretty crazy to hear. You know, but so I didn't even think about ever doing anything with my own thing, because it was just going around traveling, and it was really just one it was on an FBM trip with Tag, with George, with Bob, and with Crandall.
And you got arrested, right?
And we got locked up.
What for?
For grinding down a ledge. It was destruction of property.
Really?
It was like a brand new marble ledge, and it was in the middle of the day on this campus, and me and Tag just ran up there. It was literally like they probably just finished cementing them in the ground, and we went up there with metal pegs and scratched the hell out of them. And the professor came out, and then we were like, all right, we're leaving, which obviously we didn't, and we just went right to ride this other crazy kinked rail that was right there, and we're having the best session ever. And then all of a sudden the campus security, I thought it was the campus security rolls up, and they're like, "What are you guys doing here?" Blah blah blah. And I was used to campus security all the time, and them trying to give you a ticket, this and that. So I'm like, yeah. And I gave an alias that was
ridiculous.
A mix of like a couple of my friends' names. Shout out to Barry Gromack because he knows. I got. He's part of my aliases now, but so me and Tag actually both said we didn't have IDs and just gave them aliases, and then all of a sudden they come back and saying you guys are getting locked up, and that they had some kind of rights as cops on the campus, I guess. So we went and we got locked up, and it was like on the weekend, and they threw us all into, we would have got locked up with or without giving aliases either way.
Right.
But they made that much tougher with me and Tag with that. But, and we were in, full county, in, orange jumpsuits.
Where's this at? Where's this happening at?
In Georgia.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So it was crazy. It was crazy with it, but, it was, a weekend in there, but it was right in the first few days of the trip. So we got out, and, it was a damn good feeling to get out after not having freedom to having freedom. And we decided to not even keep going to Miami, just head back anyway because the trip got all screwed up and everybody was bugging after getting locked up anyway. But then we went camping that night and, just wilding out a little bit over there in the woods and happy to be out of there, and, that it wasn't any worse than it was.
Right.
And then it just came to me. I was like, you know what? We got something going it was different than what FBM had going. It wasn't like I was looking to do something directly with it. It was, nobody else was really completely focused on street.
Right.
And me and all these guys, Bob, George, Z, everybody, Grim, Rich, I could go on with these amazing guys that we had. And then that was right when we were even meeting these young guys in the city.
Like Edwin and all them.
Edwin.
So they weren't your initial thought about the brand, but then they just sort of became that because they were killing so hard?
Right around this time, we were in the city almost every night.
Right.
And especially Z would, oh, I'm tired. No, we got to go to New York tonight. We got to go. And it was like every night we were in there.
And he was filming at the time?
Not at first.
Okay.
Well, they had some cameras, but then it got serious after a little bit that they always had the camera with them. I knew that there was something going that was different than what other scenes had. And really at the time there was street and videos and crazy stuff, but there was never something that just focused on street. It was still even rare to see it in most videos. There was amazing stuff in all these other videos, but it just, it made sense for some reason out of nowhere that I didn't even think about it before. And I was like, let's just, make it real natural for what it is. And that's what these guys were saying too, Grimaldo and Rich Andrew. They'd be like, you're an animal. That's animal.
Right.
I mean, not about me, but about like whatever somebody was doing, if it was something crazy.
Did you know from the very beginning, like, oh, we're going to make pegs and sprockets, or was that your goal, is to make it like a bare bones parts company in the beginning?
It was just, it made sense. We had an amazing rider from Jersey who's got some of the craziest clips in the early videos too, Frank Lamb.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hell
was working at a machine shop, and he was able to make them.
Okay, so it was all American made at first?
Yeah. So we just made pegs, and then I actually got a ton of them and went to one of the contests at Section 8.
That's
Joe
right.
Cup.
Yeah. Shout out to the boys. Joe Cup, Steve Luckett.
And I put a whole, all of them I took in the trunk, and I got a speeding ticket. The car was heavy as hell. It was driving like crazy because I had crates and crates of pegs.
Was this the VW?
This was in the Passat.
Okay,
yeah.
hell yeah.
So I was cooking with it, and I got pulled over like a mile from the contest. I remember doing like high 90s or something, but I just remember that because I was like, damn, the thing's kind of feeling the weight with it as I was getting with it, But then I got there and I was just hooking everybody up with them. Yo, try these, and there was so many amazing riders that were there at the time, and everybody that got them just
put them on and became an advocate.
They loved them, yeah. They
right.
loved them ever since, and they were the first ones that were, there were some other pegs that were street style, but these ones held
Kink.
up a lot better.
You guys kind of took kink out the game at the time. Let's be
That's-
real, yeah. They were like the hardcore street sprocket and peg company at the time on the East Coast.
And chains, sick chains.
Shout out to Kink, they're still around, but at the time they had that category kind of
motorcycle
wrapped up, and then Animal just came in the game, and they were like, nope, we're gonna be a force here. Kink pegs at the time, just the term kink pegs was like
we all had
everybody.
We all had kink sprockets.
I'm sure they still make some nice pegs. I'm sure.
What was early on?
Talking to the fucking mic. What is wrong with you?
I don't have my thing. Stop
Point
swinging.
it at you. What are you crazy?
It doesn't look. It drops
Okay,
every time
but
I
you're gonna have to talk into
Okay.
This is why you should be wearing headphones.
Jeez, oh man. Okay. Early on, what was your mindset with the marketing of Animal and what you were going to put out as far as like the image?
I think it just was what it was. These guys, Bob and Z, really saw riding the way I did, really similarly, and so did Glenn, who helped tremendously with the first video from editing at your pad.
You edited the first. I thought Z did the whole first video. Did you edit it?
No, well, yeah. No, the first Animal video, they came out. They actually drove out in the van in the first Animal, the original Animal van. Came out to Long Beach when I was living, like, I don't know, Second Orange kind of. And then that was like when skate parks first started popping up in SoCal. So Paramount Skate Park was just freshly built, and for some reason there was something wrong with the lights, and it used to come on at 2 a.m. till 5 a.m. So every night we would edit for a few hours, and then we'd go to the skate park from 2 to 5, and it would be a mob scene. It would be as packed as any skate park you see in Southern California.
It was just a celebrated thing at the time.
Yeah,
Right,
so many people knew about it, and the cops didn't care because it's like right outside Compton. They were like, just don't fucking shoot anyone.
Don't kill each other.
Yeah. So like it was a pretty awesome time because it was a bunch of people stayed in my place. I had a really small studio, not much bigger than this area right here. So there was like 14 bikes in there every given day. And then Ardeline lived about 5 blocks from me. It was like Ardeline.
Castillo. Shout out to Arlene and Castillo.
Castillo never lived with Ardeline, no. Who's
Ardeline lives right around the corner.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
I've seen him driving around.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about him now. He can fuck himself. But that's
another podcast. We're not going to go down that.
Yeah.
Right.
But he was awesome then. But he had a couple roommates. So we split everyone up between the 2 apartments, and it was pretty awesome. Like, it was just a super fun time. Like, I don't know, you guys were out there like it seemed like a month maybe, right? But yeah, the video was edited at, it was officially Monkey Hate Clean Studios then.
Yeah. I love that.
It got a feature.
I remember that from the end of the
video.
videos.
It got a feature in the ride.
Yeah. All right, so did you? So the marketing all came together very naturally for Animal, I'm sure. But did you envision like what the video would be like in the sense that it would be very straightforward, no bullshit at all, or was that more like Z or somebody else involves vision?
It was a very common goal for everybody. That was definitely something that I told them from the beginning, that was how I wanted, because that was something else too. All the other companies, for the most part, had some other kind of something else to market them besides the riding. So I said no BS with it besides just the riding.
No face shots, even products. Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah,
that stood out a lot at the time.
It was just riding.
The riding and the music, again, I think to people outside of that bubble looked at that as like, this is BMX. This is street riding.
Well, there's very little hip-hop at the time in BMX videos in general, too, so that was kind of a big statement on their part.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when you watch it now, you're actually like, oh, there's actually quite a bit of non-rap in this. But at the time, it was, because...
It was super heavy. It was like too much for some people.
And BMX is very white, so it's like at the time you had a lot of people in the middle of the country who probably were not used to having to listen to a rap song.
That is something though from where we were at that we were in the way we saw hip hop growing from when it started, because being in the New York City area, we had Red Alert on the radio in the 80s, and we had the best of what was happening, and not that there wasn't. I mean, I love West Coast hip hop too, but at the time, especially then when it started, it was crazy to see the progression of it, and then into the 90s too with Stretch and Bobbito, who just put out a documentary too with. Sick. Watch that.
You consider yourself a hip hop head at that time? Was that the soundtrack to what you guys were doing for sure?
Yeah. No, from really the beginning when I was flatlanding, it was not that we didn't listen to other kinds of music, but that was what got you the most hype still with it.
Yeah.
And
to this day, hell yes.
The whole East Coast though, it's funny because you didn't it wasn't like something you searched out. It was just part of life. Like it was just part of the deal. Like you listened to music, and hip hop was music just like anything else. You know what I mean? It wasn't like now some people differentiate oh, I like hip hop or I like this, but it was just part of the kind of mix of stuff you would listen to, And
it's crazy because with you guys being your age, your generation is hip hop was coming out as you guys started riding, so you had kind of a similar trajectory in a sense.
And again, to speak about us being old with no internet, back then, I these contests we're talking about, I couldn't wait to get within radio range of the radio stations, because even in Ohio, they were never playing Pete Rock and CL Smooth on the radio.
Hot 97 wasn't a track. Well, it was Hot 97 around that early, but that was an attraction, New York radio,
It was definitely indie stations for sure, or weird college stations that would only play for 4 hours at night. Like Stretch and Bobbito show, I think that station that they played, I want to say they played a bunch of other shit all day, but they were on some weird hours.
Thursday, 1 a.m. to 5 a.m.
Yeah, you'd have to catch it and record it.
Every week you'd be up taping it, trying to stay awake so you could make sure you... And then you'd listen to it all week, and then do the same thing again.
In a Walkman. So you had to have... See, that's what people don't understand either. Hip hacks... It's not about being cool. It was the only way to carry it.
Carry your Walkman.
Cassette player.
You had a fanny pack at the time?
No, I never had a fanny pack. I never had it. Sorry.
You wear hip sets?
I had the vision. I still have my vision sheet one.
You weren't a flatlander like him. He really needed it, right?
Yeah.
I had some kind of old school thing, but I think it was a regular backpack style. But
do you when did it occur to you that Animal was becoming successful, or that you were going to be able to do well with this? Was it during the filming of the first video? Was it the very beginning?
Did it happen yet?
Well, obviously there's been troubles along the way.
Wait, what happened? I think it was pretty much successful before it even started, because of all the people that were involved that were already doing what they were doing. That it wasn't like we had we just got everybody together to do it.
Right.
And they were, I do feel like I had said this before, that everything was progressing at about the same rate throughout the world, even on some levels. The major cities that much more, and California with all the magazines even earlier. But at that point, I think that it was the most high-tech and complex and stylish, even everything of what these guys were doing with the original Animal team, and right at it, Don't Quit Your Day Job with all these guys too, because it was a lot of the same guys, as you know.
Do you remember what the reaction was when the first Animal video came out? Because that was the first all street video, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I was in for trouble because we got kicked out of every premiere we ever did from the first one.
Kicked out for what? For drinking and partying? Or?
Throwing beers at the fucking...
We would pack places with way more people than they could handle, and everybody was doing everything possible that you could get kicked out at once. So it was crazy parties. They were just huge parties with everybody going crazy, and the one time, it was at maybe the Can I Eat premiere or something. The guy didn't even want to play it again because it was so crazy, and they were supposed to play it twice because we got it for 3 hours or something, and we had it in between this and that. And Butcher had just gotten there with all the B-Town crew, and they didn't see it.
Right.
And the guy's like, I'm not playing it again. And it almost turned into like a fist fight of... Yo, if you don't play this again, it's going to be really bad, you know, because I got, and we did a good amount of damage to the place after that,
but was your impression
he
just
did play it again, so.
Was your impression just that it took over New York, it took over your area, all of a sudden it was all you could fucking hear about, even the first one, because the second one was technically, bigger, in my opinion, in terms of influence, in terms of impact, but even the first one, it must have really changed shit on the East Coast, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it was. It was all over, and the writing was progressing all over with so many more people. I think it did help push so many other people, even outside of the company, who we had so many people involved with the company, even beyond the team, that just kept pushing the riding, and all the team kept pushing each other's skills, and it was always, the main focus to be out on the streets as much as possible and riding as many different things as possible, and doing the craziest stuff on all of them. And, most of these guys somehow are still progressing even since then, and it's crazy. It's just crazy, because now, BMX was something that was younger when we started, that there weren't many old people. There was some people that maybe rode since they rode in the 70s when they had some, racing with when BMX first started just on the racing, but that was even rare, any of those people then,
So, do you remember, when you realized that Can I Eat was even going to be way fucking bigger than the first video? Did you, because, what a lot of people can't really understand about Can I Eat is that, every video usually has, one really great section that they end the video with or whatever, but Can I Eat had Edwin, Scerbo, who invented mad shit that he'll probably never really get credit for because it was sandwiched in the middle of the video. Scerbo's never going to get credit for being the first dude to do pegs hard up a rail, or ice up a rail, or 540 off a loading dock.
He could have put himself as the closer in the video.
He could have, yeah. But then it's also, what the fuck do you do with Stephen Hamilton when he's got the craziest video part that you've ever seen?
Also, the thing about that video is when it came out, again, kids today can't understand this, that was the video you watched before you went and rode.
Oh, yeah, it was unbelievable.
Every day you would do that. And kids, now maybe they'll relate to that. You're not going to watch a web edit 10 times. Everybody's watched Can I Eat thousands of times.
Yeah,
because it's entertaining every single time.
It's one of the only videos where it's I really don't want to watch it again, because it's I've seen it so many times that it's I have it memorized. If I could see it once a year, that's good. But if I walk into a room and everybody's watching, it's I've spent so much time with this that it's almost absurd. It's embedded into my brain. You're probably not gonna be able to see Ralph from the other angle because of the cat. You fucking asshole. Leave him alone. He's a spooky cat. Yeah. But so did you realize that video was going to be even crazier than the first one?
you know, while the footage was happening, it was building up. You know, that we watched the footage. You watched the footage, and it was just, yo, this is coming together crazy. Look at these things that these guys are doing, and then we're bringing Hamilton in, and, you know, Ed progressing the way he was, and, I mean, the whole team, you know, with Bob, George, everybody was, everybody upped the game from the first one considerably, and we brought in new people, and it was just, you know, insane. It was all insanity, the whole thing through on different levels, just switches up from different styles. You know, similar, I mean, all animal videos with the way we got a team of...
Can you just watch out with the plug against the wall? Yeah, just keep an eye on it, yeah.
But all the guys on the team got, you know, they're all street riders, but they all got different styles that each complement each other even. So you watch one after the other and you're like, damn, you know, this is, each one's your favorite part because they're all, they all stand out because they're each doing their own thing, and each you know, riders got their own tricks, their own style, and their own setups they're looking for. I mean, each thing is so different, and that's something that was, you know, you couldn't just have a street company where everybody just came out doing similar stuff, or else it wouldn't have been anything similar, you know, to what it is either way. And you know, and we got that with it crazy. Still, with all these guys are just evolved their styles, and we've still been doing the same stuff with a lot of new guys too that you know, all have their own. They're the masters of the best of their own style with it, you know, and they always amaze me. I get something every day I see that these guys are doing that I'm just so damn hyped, you know. It makes me want to ride, seeing them still to be doing what they're doing. So
for me, like, probably the craziest thing, the craziest, like, image that, or the craziest just grouping of riders that ever in the history of BMX was like the Edwin, Vic Ayala, Vinny trio, because they were like joined at the hip at the time, and they were just always riding together, and they rode very similar, and they all have parts in the first Animal video, and they all were like from New York and just represented New York, and they all had slightly different styles, but they were all doing like very similar types of tricks, and more importantly, maybe they also didn't do certain types of tricks. Like they weren't doing tables, they weren't really doing turn downs, they were spinning, they were maybe doing bars, and they were grinding, and really that was it. Like they kept it very simple, and that like really became sort of what street is viewed as at that time. Like were you conscious of like the fact that you had this unbelievable like group of dudes under the Animal umbrella, and how big that was going to be for New York in general?
Yeah. Seeing it in person was insane. You know, obviously Edwin, can't say enough. I mean, I can't tell you how many people have told me that he's their favorite rider in my lifetime. Could probably be thousands and thousands. And he's, you know, still got that style no matter what he's doing. That nobody's got that. You know, nobody's got that. And
what's it feel like to be attached to that, to have your brand attached to that? Because all those guys that you're talking about, that's the same. Edwin is Animal.
Yeah. No, that was. I don't even have words to describe it, you know. And Vic and Vinny, on the same level of, they were these crazy powerhouses that just powered through tricks that nobody even thought was possible, and muscled their bikes and hit crazy setups that nobody thought were possible.
There was like a level of confidence in street riding that you've never seen before when you see Vic doing like an overground on a kink trail and just holding on, and just, it was like nothing you'd ever seen before. Even if you look at like Vic's part in Animal 1 and then you look at Don't Quit Your Day Job, they're a couple years apart, but it's like there was nobody who rode with that kind of power in the Day Job era. Like he really brought something new to the table in terms of how deliberate his shit looked, you know?
Yeah, he could make the bike, even if the bike wasn't doing what he wanted, he'd still make it do what it wanted in that trick.
Exactly, yeah.
No matter how, he'd make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's, that's just sick. You know, that's one of the coolest things with bike riding is to see somebody be, you know, have this otherworldly control and be on some whole other level that, you know, is.
It's hard to put in the words how crazy
when they're
the
doing
impact
it,
was.
seeing it with the adrenaline and everything that's happening at the time when these tricks are going down is just crazy.
Yeah. What so after Can I Eat? Like, did you just remember that the impact that it made was insane? Did that take everything to a whole different level? Because that's when you guys also started to really come out with like a full line of parts. All of a sudden, you guys had tires, you had everything. That's like when it really kind of started to develop into like a real parts brand.
Yeah, that was definitely a high point. We put out, you know, a bunch of great stuff right around, you know, well, through those years, really through, you know, those few years pretty well, and it grew tremendously through those years, and you know, it was a big mix of getting out the new good products and you know, and the riding. You know, it had everything. It had the marketing and the products, and you know, it had its own niche of street riding, which still you know, nobody focused on, even though there was, you know, so much great stuff going on all over. You know, everybody still be mixing it up with everything, and we just focused on it.
Yeah. Well, when Can I Eat came out, though, you kind of took a step back from riding because of, like, I know that there were a few years where we really didn't see you riding that much, and I know that at least partially it was based on the fact that your good friend Joe Tiseo had passed away prematurely. What was that whole experience like, and did that really made you take a step back from riding all the time?
No, you know, Joe definitely gave me inspiration more than anything to keep going no matter what, because he was, you know, just get it done kind of guy. And I did have a bad shoulder injury where I had a crazy surgery around that time that was like 8 months off. But that was really the only time that I ever was really not riding ever, you know. But I was more, you know, work all day and then go out with, you know, Shane and Oso after work.
Right.
You know, and ride like that. And that was, you know, some of the best sessions ever just like that. But it wasn't something we were documenting or anything like that. And then I'd still get out with these guys on the weekends or at night on the team, but it was, you know, it was more letting these guys throw down watching the show.
Right. But so did that whole time period, like, was it tough for you in general, or dealing with, because I know Tiseo meant a lot to you as a friend and everything. Was that just a dark period emotionally?
Oh, it was devastating. Right. Devastating. Really the first crazy, tragic thing on that kind of level that had ever happened, and it was, you know, he was the person that pushed me the most, and I rode with the most, really, you know, for a good period of my life. And yeah, I mean, it's still tough as hell. You know, we still do the events twice a year. You know, he's got a scene that's following him now that wouldn't be there without him.
Right.
That was the thing. Yeah, that was the thing with Joe. When Joe passed, Joe was like one of the first real BMX riders that, like, pro BMX riders that passed away.
Right. Yeah.
So the thing that was really, I mean, was awesome to see is the outpouring of love that came out of the BMX world to Joe and to Joe's family. And again, I mean, I think that was the internet. That was like, what?
It was right before 9/11 too, which was kind of, for me as a kid, it was like, damn, one of my favorite riders passes away. And then 9/11 all around the same time. It really, like, even just being on the East Coast 4 hours away, it still tripped me out. Like, it felt like end times in a lot of ways. It was just a weird. But did that motivate you to get more serious about running the business and making the business a success? Because I know that you were described by some of your friends as being like almost like comedically lazy as like a younger man, and then at some point you transitioned into being like this just working all the time.
I did always work like crazy till I was out of college.
Okay.
You know, even through high school and college, I worked with being a full-time student either way. And then after I got out of college, you know, I had saved up and I had bass, FBM, and that was right around when I graduated in 97.
Was it that late?
97. Well, no, from college. Graduated from college.
Yeah, you're.
So, I started traveling around more, and you know these guys didn't get it then neither because they were all younger heads. But you know, I'd be out riding, hanging out, going out with my other friends, chilling, going to the bar, whatever, and I didn't have to get up for a while except to ride.
Yeah.
So now, you know, it's something like everybody sleeps late now. But back then it was like all these young people that were like, you know, but I mean, Tiseo was a whole nother level of being this super energy machine that, you know, wouldn't touch a beer either way and just was, you know, beyond that, an outstanding human on every level of, you know, helping kids fix their bikes, letting them just, you know, he wasn't that kind of guy who was like, you know, look at these kids, let's get away from them.
Right, he was down.
He was like, follow us, watch this, you know, and he had a following of all crazy kids that would probably not have been doing something good that were following him around, you know, and he kept some of them focused and some of them are still riding to this day still.
When did, in terms of where Animal's at, it seems like you guys have kind of been moving slowly. Things might be a little messy behind the scenes. Can you take me through this? When did you start to realize that there might be trouble with the business?
2000. No, I'm just kidding.
That's very early, yeah.
Well, so the first 5 years we were super productive with, you know, getting products out and growing the company. And, you know, Animal's been around for 16 years now, so it's gone through everything either way as it's been going. And the, you know, the second 5 years, for the most part, were a lot less productive with getting products out, you know. So while we were still doing everything with the riding and everything, you know, we didn't really expand the product line. And we were competing against these other companies that, you know, that had out everything and knew everything of everything all the time. And
all of a sudden you're competing against Odyssey, and they're kind of doing more technologically advanced stuff, and you guys are having a hard time keeping up with that sort of?
Yeah, we weren't getting stuff into production. We had, you know, people going back and forth in the company that, you know, didn't see the vision of the brand either way. And, you know, anybody that got any kind of relationship with any of these people is what it is. And I'm, you know, in the end, somehow everything that the company's gone through has worked out to make it stronger, to weed people out on some levels. But, you know, that's why I just want to keep it on the straight up respect for the other people, because I got a lot of respect for a lot of other people in the industry outside of Animal on a lot of other levels. So, you know, in BMX in general, has so many great people involved. It's amazing how many, you know, heroes in BMX there are that deserve it on so many levels. You know, outside Animal even. So, so at that point, you know, we went years without really doing anything else to help us grow, but the demand was there. So we were still growing, but it was starting to plateau because we weren't competitive against these other companies that were putting out so much new stuff. And, you know, I've always done whatever it takes, and I was getting frustrated with the situation, so I realized the only way to get things moving was to hire some more people. And, get the, things running better as a business. And as soon as I did this, we had a lot more stuff ready to go into production right away. And I had to get ready to do a big expansion now after Not. And we were ready to, double our product line from not doing anything for years to getting ready to double it. And I knew the stuff was going to be selling like crazy. The demand was bigger than ever. So I just went crazy to get ready to handle it. And I did everything to make the expansion plan work correctly. And we got moved into a new building. We had added everything, to get ready to double the business. And at this point, we were paying 50 people a month probably between the team and everybody that worked there and, everybody involved, and health insurance for everybody. And it was a good run business, but it was definitely probably giving back to its people more than any company ever did at that point. And, we went in there, and I had no choice except to get a good amount of additional financing to do this growth step, because it was, going to, close to double our inventory, and, and a lot of other things with the business had to be up to par to handle this.
Right.
And
in other words, the business grew faster.
And this is Shane Rossi, who is he's a big part of Animal, and he's from the very early days, and he's just stepped in replacement for Glenn, who is more of an old school Animal cat.
I came in at a very instrumental time when Animal was going through a big growth spurt. I came in when it was basically Ralph's brainchild. It was I don't want to say it was nothing. It had a huge following, but they didn't really morph into a business yet. So I was a young kid. I was
2006, 2007.
No, 2004.
Oh,
the end of 2004.
That's when you started, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I was kind of down on my luck. I came off a bad situation, and Ralph kind of gave me an opportunity. So I respected that. I always loved the brand from years previous. I grew up as a fan,
right.
So it was like an honor for me to work for Animal. It was like pretty much, I almost didn't get hired because he hired someone else who worked there for 2 days, and then I got the job after him, and I was like, wow, it's like fate. So I got to prove to this guy. And it's actually funny, on a side note, I was working there for about maybe a month and a half, and Ralph comes up to me. It was like about closing time, 5:30, 6 o'clock. Like I was always I would stay late. Like I was that type of dude. And he said, hey, I know you've only been here for about, 9 months to 12 months or whatever. And I was like, dude, this is like my first month. He wanted to give me a raise in the first month. So like I took that and I kind of ran with it. I was like, this is a guy who has the vision, but he just doesn't necessarily have the means behind the vision. So Ralph is a rainmaker, and he really needed to hire the right people in the position to do sales and do, team management and do product design, because Ralph is always going to be a rainmaker, and that's what makes Ralph.
What do you mean by that term? He makes it rain?
No, not like that. I mean, he's just like, he's the type of dude that has a vision that no one can really quite ever duplicate.
Right.
So he needs to put people in place that will fulfill his vision, a sales guy, team manager, or he doesn't know much about bikes, but he knows what is
what
good.
Works, what sells.
What works,
what the kids want.
And that's what made Animal such a niche bike company, because it was like no one ever really had that type of vision. So, Ralph will always be that visionary. That's what he's always been good at.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like when you're that person who has like an idea of what you want the brand to look like or whatever, which I would kind of say I'm sort of the same type of person, but you maybe don't have like the business sense to be trying to handle every single different part of the business, and that sort of, you have to hire a lot of different people, and then you have all these different moving parts in the company, because you got to think running a business just you is one thing. Running a business with you and you got 50 people working for you is a completely different thing, because then you're trying to control this beast that is trying to go off the rails at all times, And so, what was it though? Was it trying to do a lot of clothing, or was it like, I remember there was a lot of expenses in regards to the scavenger thing, which maybe came like the late 2000s. Were there things in particular that stood out to you as like, fuck, because it was kind of a perfect storm, right? Where you had all these things that were fucking.
It
you
was
over
the Hurricane Sandy 3-year anniversary.
BMX companies, yeah,
BMX companies.
yeah.
It was the perfect storm,
right?
It was. Ralph had so much vision, and it necessarily wasn't the clothing. It was just it grew so much faster than what it really was.
Right.
So it's hard to say like what really caused like, you know, the lag or the slack of Animal. It wasn't, people weren't ready for really what it was at the time.
Right.
So it was ahead of its time in a business sense.
Yeah.
So the fact that we couldn't get enough, you know, product out or we couldn't get, you know, it had a great demand. It was almost like T1 at its prime, you know?
Right, where there just wasn't product available even though the demand was there?
Yeah, and there was obviously other complications, but that was the main complication. And Ralph always had the vision of it to be bigger than what it ever was or will be. Right. You know, and that's what a great leader does. He gives the vision of the brand. Right. That's all he will ever do.
When did you start to feel like you were? Because there's just been rumors in the BMX industry about how Animal was doing and everything. I heard a million fucking things over the years. When did it start to occur to you that like you were gonna like? Was there a time where you were like really thinking like this is done? Like I'm gonna have to walk away from this project?
Well, what happened was to do this big expansion after not growing uniformly as we should have. I needed to get that much extra financing to do this, and everything went into place. And at the 11th hour, right when we got in there to do all this, we had all these new products on order and backup orders and ready to just go in there and kill it this year. And the financing ended up getting pulled at the last minute, and we already had all in to make it what it needed to be. Right. So now the bank was holding all the assets, and they wouldn't. It took them just to release them a couple months. Then I had to go to another finance to get another loan, and that take the way banks work another 4 months. So it was a good half a year from where we were supposed to be, that we were supposed to get in there the beginning of spring and just kill it. And now, by the time I got the additional funding, there was, triple that much more due to our manufacturers. And, we got a little flow of product going, but it was just that one thing. It was already going backwards. Right. Because we had so much more, and by the time we even got the first order released, took, a couple of years instead of going at once, because it was leaving, a tenth of the size of the orders that we should have been getting in, and it completely threw everything backwards.
Right. It was a compound effect. One thing happened,
and it builds up.
It compounded, and then this happened, and it was a series of mistakes on our part.
Right.
Yeah, well, it was one major situation, and then it wasn't like I went in there the next day and was like, boom, everybody's fired, get out of here. The business, it was like, okay, we're gonna pull out of this, and then, this is way more difficult than ever. I mean, I knew it was terrible when it first happened. Right. And that's a whole nother situation just with the finance and not going through. But that was what turned everything around, and really, that was the beginning of 2011. Right. And since then, for almost 5 years, I've just been in there on the daily, doing all I can to hold everything together with a real tight-knit group of people that, has helped me hold it together. Right. And through all these years of just not having the stock for the demand at all, and just, selling what we got and bringing in less and less as it kept going instead of turning the situation around, I had to figure out anything. I had to figure out what am I going to do? I got to do whatever to keep it going no matter what.
Right. So it was never an option to give up on the brand or to walk away from it?
I looked into everything. I said, anybody that's going to come in here, because by the time I got in there, then we started showing losses. You can't just, it's not easy to get financing after that,
right.
When you go from, the situation has a story, but they only care about what's on the paper either way. Yeah. So I tried everything. I talked to everybody that I could talk to in the industry and outside of the industry to see what was the best option to keep the company going, whether it was, bringing in a partner.
I almost invested my own money in this. I got out of the industry in about the end of 2007. I got into real estate, and I took it as I leveraged myself, and I saved everything. I mean, that's how much I believe in Animal. I worked for the company as an employee. I got out. I came back in. I really do believe in the brand, and I almost put my own money up. So it goes to show, there's a lot of potential in the brand and BMX as a whole. It's just a lot of companies, if you're rider owned, it makes it that much harder. Ralph doesn't really come from a business background. I learned business from the streets. I didn't learn it from school. We never really went to business school. So it's like a bunch of guys that are rider owned that want to make a company succeed that necessarily don't know the fundamentals of business.
Right.
I just wanted to say with Shane that Shane was our sales manager for 3+ years, and he brought in a lot of the marketing also through those years at the time.
You busted your ass.
Because he was out on the streets. He was forming a relationship.
I believed in the brand.
That's why we were in there chilling with Wu-Tang, Redman, Mr. Green Pace, all these guys through Shane, and tons more. I could keep going because he was on the streets and he saw the brand very similar to me with the riding and with the industry, hip hop, with everything how we saw it. So
it's kind of cool how everything comes full circle, It's like I do this as a hobby. I do this for the love of it.
Right.
So Shane's back as the marketing manager of the brand. So how that ended up happening. So really I looked into everything, and every time I talked to somebody, as soon as somebody would hear about it, I'd hear about it. Oh, that's what's happening.
Right.
That's what's happening, that.
That's why I heard so many stories about it over time that I was like, I'm not listening to any of this because it's just too much,
And I kept going till I just kept going. I kept going, and the whole time I was trying to bring somebody else into it, I was also pushing getting new financing either way, because I was still, doing other things to, figure out how the company could pull out of the situation that I could keep the ownership.
Right.
But that was, very difficult to even keep trying to push that, because it just made more sense to bring in somebody because of how everything looked on paper, you know. And that was the last couple of years of dealing with this. And the whole time just keeping the communication with everybody possible that, I still wanted to be involved with the brand.
But it's hard to convince people to wait a couple of years, right?
We ended up keeping the whole team, not one person took off on it. And we added a bunch of new people at the same time who just wanted to, represent, who were worthy to be representing, and kept everybody in the loop of what's going. Just kept being straight up with everybody, telling them, look, this is what I'm trying. It might work, it might not, know, and I'm just keeping going here. I'm here every day, doing whatever I can, trying to maintain the relationships with the distros, the shops, even without having any supply for them, which was, I just want to say to all the customers and people in the industry, because the people I talked to were so behind what was going on, whether or not they were interested to even get involved with it, which a lot of them were, there was tons of great people that I got involved with, even got to meet, or people that I knew that just had so much good advice or respect for the situation and, sincerely wanted things to turn around for me.
Right.
And the customers and the distros and the kids, obviously, without being able to supply them, for still wanting the stuff, it's amazing. That's a testament to everything like crazy. And, during this time, too, we didn't stop with, the riding, even if we weren't putting that much into the marketing, and it was crazy because, you'd think that it would be this negative thing where I'd be like, not as
pissed off at BMX.
Not as hyped to ride, but somehow
you never got affected by that?
Somehow it made it better.
Right.
Somehow I just, not that I wasn't pissed, but I go take it out on the bike and I'd be riding even more.
Right.
So it was like I thought the sessions were crazy, and then they were just getting crazier and crazier because we'd be out all night, even more than ever, and these guys, I'm riding with all these guys often, whether it's the team or Oso and Bard and the crew or the SAF guys or, Joey, AM, PM, Shift Life, all these guys. We got all the best crews with it. Lino, 90 East, Abdul rolling down all the time. Ryan Howard rolling, act like there's so many good people behind it that it got better. So what happened? The company didn't get better, but the riding kept going and progressing and having so many great people behind it. And, and these guys kept pushing their careers, too, through all this time,
Right.
And, Hamilton riding more than ever now. And, what Nigel's done is just insane because he's
the voice of the East Coast street riding, really, for a lot of people.
He's pushed his career on a level that I've never seen anybody.
Right.
And he's been such a positive person behind everything too, like I'm behind you, whatever decisions you want to make, whatever you want to do, as were all the guys on the team. But, for him with all the opportunities he has, he's all animal no matter what. So, and that was, the level he's taking it on is crazy. So
when do you start to feel like, things are getting better, like that you were actually seeing the bright side and you would maybe pass by all your dark days there?
So business-wise, things just kept getting worse and worse, and I just kept going and going to figure out the best path for the company. But there was, something that it couldn't be walked away on either way, and it was something that I'd rather just see going with or without me, if it was for the team or for whoever else to keep it going. So I just kept going, and at the same time, I kept putting together better and better, business plans and projections and, minimizing anything else I could. And really when I didn't even know how we were going to keep going another week, I was able to get new financing. And not
this is an incredible story, by the way.
And, you might need to fill in some details, yeah.
And keep the company, but it was, a lot of help. I had somebody else that's going to be helping me out with the company, who's somebody I started riding with, who's always been with BMX, who helped me do that much more to get this financing, who was behind, a really large company that he's worked at for a long time. And, I was able to, secure financing that was able to restructure what I had going and get enough to just get the product going again. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And I was able to keep all the ownership and get the team going again. We just got, so we really got everything going again right away.
Right.
And
so how long ago was this when you realized, like, all right, we're going to be okay?
Like 4 months.
Okay.
And as soon as I knew, I had, even from when I was trying to figure it out, was just Shane coming in with some capital and restructuring it, but it was it was still a difficult situation, and it was something where, Shane wanted to come in to push it on the level he wanted to, and he was going to make that much bigger of a commitment for the company. And he's made a huge commitment just for this, but he's able to do what he wants instead of dropping everything else he had to come in and just, be dealing with the daily operations and the business.
Right.
So he's just going to deal with the marketing manager and, the team and projects. And
yeah, we're doing a whole house in Brooklyn.
Right, the Animal House.
The Animal
This
House,
was your big idea?
I wouldn't say it's an idea. Yeah, it's
that was Shane's idea.
It's a collab. It's something that's going. It's about to actually end tomorrow or Saturday.
So what was the idea? Get a house in New York City for a month?
Basically get everyone together, get everyone out here from the new team,
right,
to come out and get together and ride and film. And it's been amazing. We filmed Navas has maybe 12 to 15 minutes of footage. I mean, for 1 month, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Considering we had nothing, 30 days ago. We literally had nothing. Everyone was spread out. People, Dan Lacey came.
Right.
So pretty much everyone came through. So
these guys are wilding over there.
Yeah, was it wild?
It's
a work in progress.
With the riding. I mean, not that they're not wild besides that, but the things that...
I mean, anytime you have anyone living in a house more than, 3 or 4 people, it's going to be,
You got all these younger riders around. Are Hoder and Edwin a bad influence on them?
No, not at all. They're actually, Hoder's been better than ever. He's been holding it down. He's been incredible. He just left.
And he's fresh.
He's been there pretty much the whole month.
And he came in doing craziness, fresh off this breaking his leg.
He got bit by a spider actually, and he couldn't ride for a week.
Hoder has a fatherly streak in him, where he can take control of a large group of people. Kind of I don't know what it is exactly, but that comes out of him from time to time.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, he got he did himself in real bad, where he broke his ankle. And then he was inside the gate. He had to jump back over the gate with a broken ankle.
Oh, I was there for that. Yeah.
That's right.
I threw him in the Uber. Yeah, I was in the hospital with him. His foot smelled so bad that he was trying to wash it, even though it was all fucking swollen up. He felt embarrassed in front of the nurse.
Funk foot.
And to go through that and now be jumping to some crazy gas.
Right, yeah, he's back at it real quick.
And that was not
that long ago. Yeah. That feels like the other day. Yeah.
And Rat Kid's been over there every morning getting these guys moving, and we got Baranak staying at the house close to full time.
And he's
with
fucked.
It back and forth.
Yeah, he's totally out of his mind.
On some next shit that you're going to witness on this, there's going to be some...
It's going to be good,
Yeah.
When it all said and done, when it comes out.
Miller, the Chocolate Truck Crew, Brennan Reith, all these guys.
Augie Simoncini.
Yeah, Augie was.
Augie came out for a week. Yeah,
I know you've seen this, the Superman gap that we had to leak that real quick, but that is some craziness that nobody's getting with nothing like that. So
what about on the parts side of things? You guys making a full comeback with that? Do you have new orders coming in now?
Yeah. So we got all the product that we had that was manufactured that we couldn't get released, and we just started shipping to shops this week.
Really?
Yeah.
This is all fresh.
And then we got some reinforcements coming in. We got some new stuff on these orders straight up with GLHs and the maroon wall style, Silva, axle hub nuts.
Shout out to Chris Silva.
Yeah, no, this guy.
He's fucked.
He never gets enough credit.
Pegless God. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You've seen this McNeil party. It was crazy with it. Shut it down, and he's doing stuff nobody's doing, and that's his signature thing with these, and he puts them to work on some tricks I've never seen.
Have you gotten a good reception from all the distros and all the shops that you maybe haven't spoken to that much? Are you guys still without a distro in the United States? You're going to keep doing it yourself?
No, we're going to keep doing it ourselves, and we're still going to be with QPP too, because we got with them really before everything fell apart. So we never even really got to get it moving with them, but they've been, real good with wanting to get things moving, and they're great to work with, and they got a bunch of real deal people, riders and everything over there, and it's been amazing for all the customers that have been without product that, has hurt them. I just appreciate so much that they're all ready to, it's cooking like crazy. And we got a lot of new stuff in the works, too, for next year.
Worldwide, animal is huge. That's the one constant that I see everywhere I travel. What are some big countries that stick out for you guys they go hard? Because I know, like, Poland, they're crazy hard. Crazy hard.
Yeah.
Greece.
Japan.
Athens, Greece, dude.
Yeah,
Greece.
I put a picture on my Instagram a couple months ago of a 10-year-old rode skate park. 10-year-old rode 4-piece Scerbo bars and animal stickers on his bike.
Yeah.
10. Like, that's
Shout out to Scerbo.
Yeah, he's got an influence that's worldwide on another level that, people still riding similar setups to him and trying to do similar riding styles even, but it's impossible to.
He's actually Bob Scerbo is one of the only dudes on the animal team that kind of publicly distanced himself from the brand a few months back. Was that strange for you? Does that still stand? Was this?
Bob's been not only a great person who's had a similar vision for the whole time of the brand with me, but also a great friend. And what happened really affected him with everything we had going.
Right.
And he did. It was crazy with the timing. He was getting to a point where he was letting it known that he didn't want to keep filming too, because it was, it's a crazy situation being out with all these lunatics all the time, getting them to do, to get the production out, and he's done it for so many years, so he did want to step back and just do more of the editing at the same time, and we're doing less and less with the marketing, and it got difficult because we had other people filming with these people. And then the guys, on the team riders filming with other filmers who they had really close relationships with. And, Bob did all the QSSs and obviously everything else before that. And anything possible, was trying to keep things moving. But it was more difficult with the communication between the guys on the team, the filmers, and the guys on the team did want to have input on what was happening, and they were working on the projects with these, other amazing people. But, I understand Bob coming out to say that he didn't do these things because it wasn't his work after all that he had done. So,
right.
The Ralphie edit that was that Hicks filmed it and edited it, which was what Ralphie wanted to do, and it's. That's Ralphie, and that's, his style with Hicks. It's more new school style, but it's tough, obviously the riding, and everybody loved it either way. It's so sick, and I love all these guys' intros to the teams, and Miller, Navaz did it. He filmed it and did it, and, Bob has been living in Austin too, so that made it that much more difficult. Because these guys wanted to be there with these guys when they're editing. So, and then same thing with Abdul's welcome to the team. Lino did it,
right.
And that went super hard with it and was super our style. But it was 3 different other people that edited stuff, and
So Bob's kind of like a control freak to the extent where that was weird for him to have other people doing animal projects.
Oh yeah, I mean he's such a.
He cares about the image so much and how it looks.
Yeah,
right.
control freak is a weird word. I would use.
Not in a pejorative sense. Yeah, he cares a lot.
Yeah, I mean he is. Everything he does, he puts so much into it. The things that he's done with the editing, people are just gonna be even noticing that just so much stuff happens that nobody's ever even done anything like it, and. Just how he sees riding and the tricks on his riding level, he's on a whole level that I can't even imagine between the riding and the, video, film and editing, production, everything that, so I told him, I'd love to have you do stuff in the future with it either way. I don't know, nothing planned yet, but if it could just be something that he wants to do either way on his projects, whatever. It is difficult now because this day and age we need all this other content with Instagram videos and web videos and this and that. We have no choice either way. That we got to keep up with the marketing on the level to get the riding out there because these guys are doing it, and I'm old fashioned. I want to see the crazy video to sit there for a half hour and then just not be able to get up and on a bike quick enough, but we want to just keep, we want to do everything in the future, but that's just the sequence of events the way they've worked out. So we just
keep roll with the punches, right?
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, what do you attribute to Animal's success over the years?
I think that, the brand itself is just a strong brand in general that I think is something that could even be accepted outside of BMX. And there's not really many brands that could say that because, it's something where, the everything, the name, look, and the feel.
I would say it's the longevity of the team too.
Yeah. No, well, that's the main thing. Either way,
there's something that means something behind it.
Yeah,
there's a skeleton to it.
The whole package of keeping the best riders at their disciplines of street riding, along with, not doing the BS with it. We might be doing, for years we've been doing lookbooks or this and that with some pics of people with the clothing, which was something even new at the time we never did. But beyond something like that, it's all riding either way, and it's not like we're hiring models or something. We got all the guys on the team that are rocking the stuff anyway, so it's all natural either way.
Has it been difficult for you, like during this time period where Animal was sort of not able to do anything, that you also had to contend with like Mike Brennan starting Merritt, and then all of a sudden you see them starting to make some noise and doing things, and was that difficult? And like, how did you feel about Mike Brennan leaving the company or whatever?
It was all really around the same time when things were happening, so it was really natural progression too. But they definitely have different ideas, as you could see, that Animal has for a brand either way, to be more of a everything kind of company either way. But I got mad respect for the guys on their team, and I'm always hyped to see these guys riding.
Right.
And I really would love to have these guys. They're all going to be riding, killing it either way. But I'm behind. I got respect for that, and that's why I leave it at that.
Right. Do you think what about the strength of the East Coast scene in general? Do you think that New York City's scene is still like just as strong as ever, or do you think that it's been affected by Animal being kind of quiet?
Same thing. I feel like the riding has still been there either way. There's still so many people in the city. Tyrone, I haven't mentioned him, but
yeah.
Shout out to Rome.
Been with you forever.
He just holds it down for everything. And he's been, we still been there out with him at, on the missions after work, and whoever's at the shop, he's with it,
Right.
and they're out, and it's just, it's such an amazing thing for New York to have. And, everybody on the team has continued to push their own careers and have their own riders and posses all together, and all these guys get together. All these different guys on the team with all the different crews are always, it's all one love with that.
How have you always stayed so in love with the riding part of things? Like, what do you credit the fact that like you're still motivated to go out and ride, to go out and film, to go out and be a part of this? Like, even through all the bullshit that you've been dealing with, because you've been riding longer than almost everybody who's still like an active street rider. Like, you still clearly have that passion. What do you attribute that to?
Definitely a lot from the people I'm around who are always killing it.
Right.
Because I just don't want to miss a session with whoever I could be out with when I get out of there, to be with them. And, it's something that I can't turn off either way. That, I got millions of things I want to be doing all over the place on the streets. And I could just be out all the time if I could. And, anything makes me want to do that, whether it's seeing a spot, hearing a dope hip-hop song, all these things, seeing these guys riding, like any motivation I get, I put it towards riding. And, that helps me push the company and to keep pushing it through these crazy times. Without the riding, probably would have been impossible.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're pretty fucking deep into this podcast. This is a long one.
This is history.
I feel like that officially got us to the point where we discussed all the things we needed to discuss. So, I mean, I feel good that we were able to cover all the way from the early era of Animal up till now, and like the reformation of the team, and where you guys seem to be doing a lot better now, or at least you guys are a lot more confident now.
I know a lot of people are going to be psyched to hear this, to know.
Yeah.
I think the truth had
new Animal stuff.
Almost so that the truth had to come out, that Ralph had to tell his side of the story. And, I'm glad that he came out to speak publicly, because Ralph's not really a guy to come out, to speak on such touchy subjects. So I got a lot of respect for Ralph. I just want to say thank you for coming out.
Because he would prefer to let the ride and speak for itself, but we are in a different age now where the people kind of need to be spoon-fed some information, because they just want to know. Like they see the stuff on social media. They want to be kept up to date by the minute, which is it's a strange new era we live in.
Yeah, no, same thing. Shane is a big part of pushing me of what now with how we're going to communicate with people for the company, and not that I don't know that, as soon as we're dropping this, people are going to be wilding out when they see what we're killing it with, and then with the products moving, everything is going to be something. But I felt like, too, that, all the people that stood behind it, because I try to be straight up with everybody, and I've told so many people, but there's so many people behind it. It's, hundreds of thousands of people, obviously, if not even more, that I just wanted to thank them and tell them the deal, because we haven't been able to get them what they need for riding, and that's been, that's been something that I'm looking forward to making sure that doesn't happen again, and that it's only getting them more and more and better stuff, and we're just going to keep progressing and moving with it and go with the flow.
Well, that's a fucking amazing thing to hear, because like the East Coast, I mean, New York City BMX changed a lot when Animal came out, and if Animal were to have gone away, or if something were to happen, then I think we would all seen that as like a real end of an era. So I mean, it's amazing to hear that things are on the up now, because I mean,
I think so many kids that ride street worldwide relate to Animal. You've got kids in these countries. There's 3 street riders. They watch the Animal videos. That when they get that Animal shirt, that's when they put it on, they're proud.
That's their identity, their armor.
And I think that's the overall goal of a brand, is when somebody puts it on, they're like psyched to have that on. And Animal is the one brand that we've had in BMX. Like, we've never had something that where, like, if you see somebody rocking an Animal, you're like, it's not like, oh, they went to the mall and bought that. Like, they had to work a little bit to get that. So that they either ride or they know somebody that rides. And that's why it's like, I'm so psyched to get this.
Yeah, we got so many great people repping all over the world, and that is still something. All these years to see it is just so affirming of what we're doing, being the right way to push BMX and to
I think too, not to interject, but I think Animal is such an East Coast brand, and it's always been that people outside, they either get it or they just don't know what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's no real presence in, like, other areas, other than in America. Like, there's no real presence in California or, like, Texas or whatever big BMX market there is. Right. It's just, like, majority in East Coast brands to either get it or what's up. It's like... Yeah. there's no real gray area with Animal. That's what I always kind of liked about the brand, It's been very uncompromising. Like, it's like, this is what we are. We're not going to try to be everything to everybody. Yeah, I think that's why we have like a big following, like you said, in like Poland and, Germany, Japan, because I think it's a different level of understanding. They're more pioneering markets than what we see over here,
But it goes back to what we've been talking about since we started doing podcasts. It's like, BMX riders need to start supporting BMX brands. Yeah. That's when things are going to get better. That's when you're going to get put on this team, whatever team it is. It's when you, and I think that's what also been the nice thing about Animal. It's like when you buy Animal anything, you know where your money's going. Right. Your money's going to Jersey. It's
transparent. It's going to Jersey.
It's going to Jersey, then Taiwan.
Wherever it goes.
Anyway, I don't know. Is there anything we should wrap up here? I mean, we're fucking super deep into this. Is there anything that we need to know? Anybody you'd like to thank in particular? Both of you?
What's your favorite video part, Ralph? Or your favorite BMX video, I guess we'll say.
That's a rough question.
That's why we're here. This is what the Come Up TV does.
Ralph's thing is that
it's so it's so difficult because there's been so many great videos and so many parts from other people even outside of Animal for so many years that it's like mentioning who's
your favorite kid,
your favorite rider, who's your favorite rapper, there's just so many that I look up to, have respect for, that have gotten me hyped to ride through the years that, obviously I love every part with all our guys, but I can't even, if I said one, it would be a lie because there couldn't even be one.
Yeah. Don't put the pressure on him like that, Catfish.
That's why he pays me the big bucks to come with the hard-hitting questions.
Hard-hitting questions like, what's your favorite video?
That's a good thing. Yeah.
That's a good question.
There's been so many influences, though, for so many years that I got a million people and things going through my mind right now.
Yeah, if anybody should ever be able to plead the fifth.
Can I give him another hard-hitting question?
What?
This is a good question to everybody at home. Give us a good Edwin story.
This is going to be a whole nother episode. Stories.
Is this a recent Edwin story or like a...
Every time you hang out with him, though, it's like an epic story. It's like, I can't believe that he's living to tell this story.
Ed's always getting into some. And he's always getting me into some. And we had a lot of crazy times with it. And, pretty much...
mostly good.
Pretty much, grew up with Ed since he was, he was on the team since he was like 14 years old, since the company started. And now he's...
And he became the face of the brand for a hot minute.
So, oh my God, I don't even know. He's done so many crazy things, and he's just done so many amazing things on the bike too. And I'll just go to the first time that I rode with him like a whole day, and I saw him at the banks a couple times. And, it was him, Roan, and Worms, and that was the crew. And the first day we really went out, I'm pretty sure Z had the camera, and it was the day when we filmed a couple things for the original Animal video. And Ed and Worms and Roan, they all hit the setup, and it was something Worms did, something on the bench to the rail. Oh, I'm so damn shot now. It's in Brooklyn.
Mind you, this was like 2000, 2001.
The big three that Ed did down the steps in Brooklyn.
Worms did the overgrind on that one rail. It's a 12 stair rail. I forget what it's called. Yeah. Okay.
That setup.
Right.
And that was actually the first time that I ever went out
with them
as
a crew,
like that. And they were so hyped to be out and with Z filming and everything. And I never saw anybody do anything like that in person. with the 360. You know, I had seen, you know, some of these guys back in the day, even McCoy, 360 and steps, this and that, but it was something on a whole nother level with how smooth he did it. And I think just seeing that was such a big change in street riding, that people could do such a crazy thing being that smooth. And, you know, I still get people telling me to this day that, you know, Ed got me into riding.
All the time.
Because, you know, I saw the X Games, and I thought it was cool, but we don't have anything like that. And then when I saw Ed ride and your videos, either way, we got stairs down the block from my house. I'm going to go jump down the steps, you know, and it was like it opened up things that kids wouldn't look at to that. So I think just that, you know, not one of his crazier stories that, you know, but as far as his influence and just one trick in general, you know, you know, that really for me started everything with him, you know, changed street riding forever. And
at a much later date, Worms grinded up that rail for his Zoo York out as well.
Oh, that is the same. Shout out to Worms.
And Marlon Europe did a hang 5 on that curve ledge to drop onto the rail. Yes, all kinds of good shit happened there.
So sick with that. So sick.
Yeah, that was a fucking unbelievable clip from Marlon too. Yeah.
That's in Crown Heights, by the way.
Right, there you go. I knew it was something like that. All right, so
any shout-outs?
Shout-outs. So what are we going to end this on? Thanks to the whole Animal team, everybody who supported over the years. Grimaldo Duran, Anals.
Yeah, Grim and George, his kid, off the hook. These guys, you know, same thing. You know, Grimaldo, the first person I ever even saw do a bar spin. You know, knew him from the ball back in the day, and he's still at it like a little kid.
Yeah,
you know? He goes
little
down,
kid defines him.
He was at the Tiseo Jam all day, from when it started till when it ended. Then he went out with Martin in the city all night.
Yeah.
And this guy's, he's
40.
Yeah, he's my age. He got
40's in the new 30.
Yeah.
I keep hearing that.
And George got mad skills.
George is coming along very nicely. Yes.
And George is named after the Santa.
The George. Yes.
Yeah. So, I want to say sorry for knocking George's front teeth out too. By the way.
The kid.
Yeah, and I knocked his teeth out about 10 years ago. I still feel bad.
10 years ago. What is he? 12?
He was like maybe 4 at the time.
Oh shit!
You knocked a 4-year-old's teeth out.
They weren't permanent teeth, so you know.
That's an excuse.
What do you get?
He still brings the story up.
Can I just ask this question? Is that
it happened on the bike? He ran into him.
Oh yeah. It's not you hit him with a hammer. Okay.
I
crashed into the
Stemmed in the face.
Can I ask that just as a strict fan? George D. You ever talk to him? His profile on Instagram says BMX Audi Hardcore. I'm not sure on the order, but it was one of my friends saw it and he said, "Yo, I like that this is his 3 interests still." But the only thing he added,
Section 8.
He still puts BMX
George
number 1.
Still out there all the time, you know, at the Tiseo Park doing his own thing, riding with Lugo still, Grimaldo.
I think he actually lives on a horse farm.
Yeah, he switched everything up, but
he lives out in the country now.
Yeah, but he's still got all those tech tricks.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And blasting these quarters. Nobody blasted Tiseo. There's one like 7-8 foot quarter that's the one, you know, goes to vert, and he gets, you know, 7-8 out of that.
George D.
Awesome
the downside grinds, first crook 180 down the rail, first feeble 180 down the rail.
All with glasses.
All with glasses and a big ass afro. First Smith down that wooden rail. Smith
He
half
was
bar
my favorite
spin.
rider too coming up.
There's so many things.
256. Shout out to 256.
If you knew anything and you were from our
256.
era, he was such an obvious favorite rider because he invented so many fucking grind combos.
And he was so humble about it.
Yeah.
He was like the most humble dude you ever could meet.
He was definitely the first person I saw do a Smith 180 and maybe the first of all time because because I don't remember anything.
Remember when the props came out with him freaking out? Like that was the first time I'd ever seen him angry ever. Like something, I forget what it was. It was like a props that somebody had done something to his girlfriend or something.
Oh yes, there's a clip where he's like he's screaming at a guy because a guy disrespected his girlfriend at a house party. Yeah, and I knew that he didn't drink too.
George is a humble dude, but he ain't,
And he's straight edge, but that tripped me out at the time too because I'm like, what the? It looked like he was drunk because he's raging out, screaming at this guy in the kitchen. Strange way to end this interview. But shout out to George D. I'm still on his dick after all these years. And I mean,
shout out to Mike Oso too.
Yeah. Oh, and Mike Oso. Yeah, we didn't talk about it. If we had more time, we would talk about all kinds of crazy shit.
You
from
can come back.
The AM PM guys, the Lil Wayne era of rocking Animals stuff to smoking weed with Troy McMurray on Road Fools 5. You don't have to comment on that.
Shout out to McMurray.
Yeah. There's a million good things on the list that we didn't get to touch on, but yeah. I mean, this was an awesome interview, and it was so fucking good to get to hear your side of the story, Ralph. And thank you so much for influencing me with your brand more than any other BMX brand ever. And there's about a fucking 100,000 other guys behind me that would say the same thing. That you wrote the book on what we love. So, I mean, maybe if you didn't write the book, you've wrote the fucking the New Testament. I don't know.
Thank you, and I appreciate you having me over here to do this, and I appreciate all these words on everything, and I enjoy being here a lot.
And Animal, the comeback. Everybody in their right mind is looking forward to seeing the new footage, to seeing the new parts, and to seeing what you guys come with in the new year, because it's probably the most important brand in the history of street riding. So it's been an amazing interview, and I really appreciate it. And thank you very much to Shane, too, for everything you've done for the brand, and Ralph as well.
Maybe we could talk, turn the cameras off, talk a little about stocks after this, because I think Animal's going to go through the roof.
Stocks. Well, they're not publicly traded. So
I know that was a joke, Adam. That was a joke. I was playing.
We are looking for private investors.
Yeah. But you don't know a lot about business, so you might not know that. I don't know. All right.
I don't read books.
All right. Thank you very much to the whole Animal Squad.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you so much, Ralph.
Yeah, please subscribe to the Come Up on YouTube, on SoundCloud, on iTunes if you enjoyed listening to this. Thank you very much. Follow Animal Bikes. Instagram, Facebook. I'm sure you can figure it out. You're not totally inept, are you? All right.
Follow me on Instagram, too.
Thank you to Catfish, and thank you very much to Phil for filming, and all the other homies here. Glenn for stepping in, Biz for watching, Brandon Vegan. Fuck you. You're too new school. You're not even allowed in this interview.
Hey, Brandon, we got El Toro here if you want to fuck around.
Yeah, does this bring back any bad memories? All right. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.